Hi and welcome. Today I'm starting my project, which will be 2 mixed media tags with some jelly printing, and I'm making some collage photo with our brand new masks from the Sketchy Leaves #4 stencil. I already used them and the white one is just cleaned. This is the stencil, and we have some more new products over in the shop, which are 5 more stencils with some patterns, and we also have 3 brand new stamp sets. All of the new products are 10% off until tomorrow. I will give you a link in the video description. Let's start the project, and as I said, I'm starting with my main images, which will be some botanical leaves that I'm printing with the jelly plate. And I'm starting with some black acrylic paint and the masks of the Sketchy Leaves stencil. I'm using some of my older jelly prints to print the leaves on so that I have some nice patterns. And I picked out these, which are a mixture of turquoisey and burnt sienna colors. And I plan to use these colors also for the background of the tags. The paint I'm using is a black opaque paint from Amsterdam. I'm laying the stencils into the wet paint, and then I will press the jelly print on top of it. And unfortunately here I did not notice that I placed 2 of the masks a little bit too close. I usually want to have a black border around them, so you should take care that you place the masks with a little bit of a little space in between. What's also important is that you press down the paper quite well, because there are some smaller areas in between the stencils, and you want to get that paint onto your paper, and you have to press that quite good to get a detailed impression. I will make 2 of these prints, so I have a few elements to choose from later. And here you can see where the masks are touching. It's just not what I wanted to have. I have a whole video about making this kind of collage photo already on my channel, and I will link this in the end cards. I'm removing the masks from the plate, and there is some nice texture of these botanicals left. Here I'm just printing them to the back side of this paper, but you can make beautiful separate texture prints with it. I think that can give you really surprising and nice results. I already cleaned my stencil here with another layer of acrylic paint, and I just pulled a print so I get rid of all the leftover that was on the plate. I am not sure if it will affect my next print, so I decided to remove it. I'm now laying the stencils again into the wet paint. Of course, you can arrange the elements a little bit more, a little bit closer or in another direction to your plate, so you get more of them onto your plate and you can make more elements at once. But as the print has kind of a white border around, I try to just have them closer together so every element has some color on it. I usually cut these elements out in front of the TV on the evenings. That's a perfect thing to do. And here I will just quickly pull these images off onto that patterned backside of that jelly print. That's also really a nice look, I think, and it could be perfect for some greeting card backgrounds. Whilst my jelly prints are drying, I am going to prepare my tags, and I have cut 2 tags from watercolor cardstock. That's the Canson XL watercolor paper, and I'm just applying some turquoisey acrylic ink onto the text using a big brush with some water. I just randomly smear the ink around. I try not to cover everything. I try to leave some white space. So in the end, when the tags are finished, I have a high value going on, which is usually interesting. The ink has to dry, and in the meantime, I'm stamping my collage images that I have prepared with the jelly plate. I have already cut them out and I left a black border around them. And here I'm stamping on 2 of them, some that I plan to use some texture, some text from the Mix It Up 4 stamp set, just to make it look a bit interesting and to give it a different look. I plan to adhere to leaves per tag, so I have one with a texture on it and one that's just the color, and I think both together look quite nice. My tags are almost dry, not 100%, but I will not stamp into the wet areas. And here I'm just stamping some texture quickly to the tags using images from the new Pencil Mark 7 stamp set. And as you might see, my stamping impressions are not the best, but my ink pad has to be re-inked, and it's also a watercolor cardstock, which is a little bit more difficult to stamp if you have a solid image, and also when you have a brand new polymer photopolymer stamp, it's quite sticky. This will it will lose its stickiness over time, and it will be a little bit easier to stamp. For my next step, I'm applying some heavy gesso to the tags. Not a lot, just a little bit, and I'm using a silicone brush to apply it. That creates some interesting texture, I feel. And I really like that mix of gesso and non-gesso, because in my next layer I plan to go on top with the burnt sienna acrylic ink, and this will give me different textures depending on the surface. So if it's over gesso, it looks different than the acrylic, and if it's over paper, it looks also different, and that gives the whole tag some more interest. I let that gesso dry, and before I'm applying the acrylic ink, I will add a little bit more stamping with some text stamps. The same that I've used on the collage elements, and I will use another one from that same set with some math text, which I think is quite interesting on a background. I'm now going in with the acrylic ink in transparent burnt sienna. It's the one from Liquitex, and I really love this color, and I knew in the beginning that it would layer super pretty over the turquoise, because turquoise and burnt sienna mixes a really lovely greenish color. And I did it on purpose, that I started with the turquoisey, more opaque ink and added another layer with this transparent burnt sienna, because it's really nice and gives you such a depth because of the layering. I added some splatters, and here I'm going in with my Stabilo Marks All pencil. There are some spots with the acrylic ink which is still wet, and I just smear and drag it around with the pencil. That is a really nice technique to make everything look a bit more loose. And I also make some tiny marks with the pencil by dipping the nib into water, and that gives me a very intense black. I'm just placing the collage elements on top to see if I like it, and then I will glue them down. But I think I will add a little bit more of the burnt sienna to the left tag on the bottom left, because there is not much going on. And what I'm also going to do is I will apply some white acrylic ink splatters to the tags before I glue down my elements. Once the ink is dry, I'm adhering the elements. I will do this off camera. I will also add a title to each of the tags, and I will leave you with some photos. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope we will see us next time. Bye.